Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Bertina's Spiritual Sanctuary podcast. Today, we're going to talk about the winter solstice as it's coming up this weekend. And it's something that I've had a lot of listeners reach out to me and ask for a little bit more information because I did a podcast earlier about Yule and the winter solstice. So they wanted to know a little bit more about this. So we're just going to kind of get started. And again, take a moment to follow me on Spotify, share this podcast to anyone that you wish, and then just take a few moments just to relax and really listen and think about how the winter solstice plays a part in your spiritual life, in your everyday life, and kind of learn a little bit about a history. I'm off. On break from teaching college, so I've got to throw a little bit of history and sociology into my life, and this is one of the best ways to do it. So go ahead and get comfortable. Grab a notebook and pen if you would like. We're going to go through the podcast, then at the end, I am going to do a short meditation for you to help you connect with the winter solstice. So let's get started. The winter solstice is known as the longest night of the year. It's one of the most significant celestial events that happens. In history, cultural relevance, and spiritual significance spans thousands of years. It makes it an enduring celebration across the world. And in this podcast, we're going to delve into what the winter solstice is, when and why it's celebrated, the goddesses and deities associated with it, and ways to observe the solstice, and also specific rituals that can help deepen your connection to this ancient festival. So, what is winter solstice? It is marking the shortest day and the longest night of the year. It usually occurs when the Earth's axial tilt is farthest from the sun in the northern hemisphere. Most of the time, it's around December 21st or 22nd. And at this point, the sun appears at the lowest elevation in the sky, and the amount of daylight is at its minimum. Most of the time, people get really excited about the winter solstice because that means that we are going to start seeing daylight again. Modern people use it as a time to align personal cycles with cosmic ones, blending ancient wisdom with modern mindfulness practices. A couple of themes that you can look at for the winter solstice is that the winter solstice symbolizes death and rebirth. It's a natural pause in the cycle of the seasons where light overcomes darkness. The contrast between darkness and light is a metaphor for life's challenges and the hope of renewal. So whenever you start thinking about the winter solstice, think about hope, think about renewal. And even if you can't do a lot of the big celebrations or do a lot of different, a big altar or a big ritual, just take a moment just to think about hope. That's usually what I do on winter solstice is go around and think about what it is that I am wanting to renew for the next year. What is it that I want to bring to me? What is it that I want to recreate, renew, bring back to life? And many times it's just the idea of hope and happiness for me. But as I was saying, this year it falls on Saturday, December 21st at 10:20 p.m. Central Time if you're in my area. The precise date and time varies slightly each year as the Earth's orbit changes, and many times it's just different based upon your time zone. So for many cultures, the solstice is more than just a single day. It's part of a larger season of celebration. A lot of times it is blended with midwinter or Yule, and it spans weeks before the actual solstice. So you can start celebrating now and then celebrate through solstice. And if you celebrate Christmas and New Year's, continue. I find December to be a very happy month. A lot of people have season seasonal depression and find it very hard for this time of year. But to me, it is just one of the most beautiful times, especially when it snows. I feel like that it is just peaceful. It is so quiet. And as I've gotten older, I really like quiet. I like the quiet of the sound of the snow. And if you've ever been outside in a snowstorm, especially when if you're in the country like I am, it is just quiet. It is just beautiful. And then mixing that with Yule and Christmas decorations like the evergreen trees. I have an orchard in my backyard of evergreen trees. I have a holly at the front of my house. Mistletoe. These are all pagan traditions that we picked up for Christmas and for Yule and things. And that is just the beauty of all of it together. Um, Ancient civilizations used the solstice to mark time and to create calendars. So some people believe that this is the beginning of the year. Stonehenge has its alignment with the sunrise to the winter solstice, and it's one of the most famous examples of solar observation. I am dying to get to Stonehenge. I've been to England. I did not make it there, but I'm hoping one day that may be a trip in my future. Just those beautiful stones and the idea of how those can be moved and how those can be put in a certain place and know that alignment is exactly perfect is just mind-boggling for me. I just can't imagine the thought and the preciseness that went into that. There's also a place in Newgrange, England, that has what I've been told is 5,000-year-old passage tombs that's illuminated by the sunlight during the solstice sunrise. Supposedly, it's supposed to be the early humanity's understanding of celestial cycles, that there the sunlight just comes in. So we're going to talk a little bit, I can't help it being loving history, why and where is the winter solstice celebrated? And what I want you to do is to think about this. Think about the appreciation of different cultures. Think about how these cultures and your ancestors celebrated and recognized the solstice. Think about how excited they were when the days began to grow longer. And then that's the eventual return of warmth and light and life in their civilization. So in ancient Rome, they celebrated Saturnalia. Now, when I start saying words, I may mispronounce them. I'm sorry. Besides my Kentucky accent, sometimes I don't pronounce words exactly as everyone else does. But Saturnalia is in Rome, and it was a festival, a feast, and it went from like December 17th to the 23rd, and it was dedicated to Saturn, the god of agriculture. The week-long holiday had feasts, gift givings, the changing of social norms, such as equality among the masses. No one had any, if they had a role of authority, they went into a role of submission, things like that. And it was just a day of just change. It was that contrast. In Scandinavia, of course, they celebrated Yule because the Germanic peoples of Northern Europe honor the rebirth of the sun. They're the ones who have the fun bonfires and the feasting, and the burning of the Yule log was created for this. And eventually the tree and the evergreen decorations that we see at Christmas came from here as well. The Druidic traditions were basically what we were talking about with Stonehenge. It's the priestly caste of the Celts, and it aligned with the sunrise. And there was a ceremony that they had, a precious, precious ceremony that marked the return of the light. There's several documentaries and several books on the Druidic traditions that I would recommend for you to look into if that is a tradition that you would like to learn more about. Japan celebrates Toji, and it's observed by soaking in a hot bath with the yuzu citrus fruits. You eat a lot of nourishing foods like pumpkins, and it has to do with health and longevity. And a lot of times it has to do with releasing or exfoliating or letting go of all the things that, all the dead skin, all the things that you don't want, so that you can have a renewal. Native American traditions change. It's indigenous tribes like the Hopi celebrated the solstice with ceremonies like Soyal, Soyal, and this is welcoming the sun back. And they believe that the sun protected the community during the harsh winter. China had the Dongzai Festival. Again, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. This celebrated the rebirth of the yang, which is light energy, and included eating dumplings to symbolize warmth and family unity. And there's a lot of other seasonal folk traditions. An ancient English tradition involving singing to trees and orchards to encourage a good harvest in the coming year was called a wassailing festival. I think that's pretty cool if you go around and sing to trees in the orchards. I mean, you talk to flowers, you talk to plants, they grow. Honor the trees that give you food. Thank them for that. Um, a lot of times also there was the idea of the evergreens representing endurance and vitality as they remain green through winter. So they were looked at as being sacred. Now there's a couple of goddesses that are associated with the winter solstice. The winter solstice is rich in feminine energy. And a lot of times, the themes that are associated with these goddesses are dark, light, death, and rebirth. And many times people see some of these goddesses as a little darker. But the thing is, though, is that you have to have light to have dark. You have to have life and rebirth and death, and then life, rebirth, and life, and the whole cycle. So the first one that I came across was the Celtic Cailleach, and she's the winter goddess who rules over the dark half of the year. And as the solstice passes, she relinquishes her power, making way for spring. Many times we see her as an older crone lady, full of wisdom. And I like to think about the winter being a time of bringing about wisdom, bringing about knowledge. It's a time when I read the most. It's the time when I just take time for me just to learn. I'm not outside, I'm not going a lot of places, so it's a time for rest and learning. So I find that learning about all of these goddesses and the idea of the divine feminine energy is really powerful during the winter solstice. Again, the Japanese sun goddess Amaterasu, please again forgive me, is honored during Toji. And according to the myth, she retreats into a cave during the dark winter months and emerges at the solstice. And she brings bright light back to the world. If you can, Google the pictures of her. Her name is spelled Amaterasu. And she is just beautiful. She is one of the brightest, most beautiful goddesses. Of course, we know about the Greek Demeter and Persephone, and it reflects the cycle of seasons. Persephone's return to the underworld symbolizes the end of winter and the return of life and fertility. That's always been a sad story for me. The Egyptian goddess Isis has always been associated with magic and resurrection, and she resurrected her husband Osiris in the rebirth of the Nile's fertility. And of course, the fifth one that I'm going to talk about is Hecate or Hecate. Just depends upon how you want to pronounce her name. She's the goddess of magic, the moon, and the underworld. And a lot of times, she is looked at as one of the darker goddesses, but it's because she's honored during the darkest nights of the year, and she's honored for her wisdom and guidance through transition. So think about this: transitions are the hardest things to go through. We're not going to choose big life events to a lot of times when we're losing a job or we lose a family member or we are going through shadow work and releasing things. That is not what we always look at as beautiful and light and bright. It is hard. And we need someone with wisdom. We need someone that will help guide us. And she is the goddess that will help you with that. And because she is magic moon and the underworld, it is like she connects the feminine moon to the underworld that a lot of times we think about as being masculine, but that magic between the two brings you out of the darkness and into the light. So, thinking about some of these goddesses, take a moment to write down which one that you would like to learn a little bit more about. The Cailleach, Amaterasu, Demeter and Persephone, Isis, or Hecate. Now, I also get a lot of questions about rituals for observing winter solstice. Rituals can really deepen your connection because it allows you to honor the spiritual and seasonal significance. Now, I'm going to tell you, don't spend a lot of money. Look for things that are around you that you have because things in your home already has your energy imbued in it. Our ancestors did not have a store, a place to go to and spend a lot of money at. And it's nice if you want to. I mean, I tend to have several little rituals, wands and symbols and crystals and things like that, but don't feel like you have to. So here's a couple of rituals that you can do that is pretty simple. Okay. A cleansing and releasing ritual. Write down what you wish to release from the past year on a piece of paper. Burn it in a fireproof dish, a fireplace. If you're going to use a candle, make sure the candle is in a fireproof dish or in your kitchen sink. I've learned that because I've burnt many countertop spots. If you look at my kitchen countertops, and what this does is just clears out old energy. And really, what it does is it is a symbol for it to leave your mind, leave your heart, leave your energy around you. If you can release this energy, then it will allow energy to come into your body that's so much better, so much more peaceful, so much more freeing. Sorry for that break. My computer did something weird. Spend some time meditating on the themes of darkness. Use this as a way to kind of help you set intentions for the year. I love journaling after meditating. I feel like that is somehow to put your thoughts onto a piece of paper and help you reflect. But a lot of people don't like to write, they like to talk. So take an audio recording like this and just write down maybe your thoughts or intentions for your year. That kind of helps you go back and look at things that you want to work on. You can create a crystal grid for renewal, and you can use any crystals. You can arrange them in a circular pattern representing the sun's return and focus on your attention for renewal. Now, I know I'm going to ruffle some feathers here, but to me, crystals are energy, okay? But you don't have to have specifically a sunstone or obsidian or a clear quartz or anything else like that. You don't have to go out and buy a lot. I have just a handful of crystals that I set the intention for. At the time, I use Reiki, I use energy, and set my intention for that crystal by placing it in my hand, holding it to my heart, and asking the crystal to please represent, say, the sun's return, represent my intention for the new year, represent clearing things away. And I use that crystal over and over again for certain things. Some people will say you have to have the same crystal for everything. I just cleanse it. You can set it on a windowsill to cleanse in the moonlight. You can use Reiki. You can use water depending upon the crystal. You can do whatever it is that you wish. But some of those crystals that some people like to use are the sunstone and obsidian, just because of the representation of that. So do not get caught up in having to have everything perfect. This is a time for you to honor yourself and find things that you think represent you. Taking a walk in nature when it's cooler is when I can actually walk. Many of you all know that I can't go out into the sunlight when it's really hot and things like that. And the outside of nature is beautiful, and I absolutely love when it is wintertime because it is still, like I said before, the bare trees, I think, are beautiful because you can actually see them. You can see their heart. Now, summer trees are beautiful too, the leaves, the fruit, but the bare trees tend to show their heart to me. They are bearing themselves to us, and it's so quiet, and it's just like inner peace. Sometimes when you're out walking with nature, you can also celebrate with music and dance, drumming, chanting, singing, listening to music, putting your earbuds in, and dancing out when you're out in nature. It doesn't matter what people think about you. They are here for 5 minutes in your life and gone. Maybe you might be the energy that becomes contagious and have them dance with you, walk with you, dance, have fun. You can also have a solstice feast. I know many times we have Christmas dinners, but a solstice feast would be good for friends and family. Maybe whether they celebrate Christmas or not, I celebrate all of it. I mean, I love culture, so I celebrate multitudes. And if it's a time to be able to eat, I love it. So a lot of times traditional foods include root vegetables and nuts and berries and a lot of spices like cinnamon and nutmeg. And it's things that, and lots of like candles around and things like that, because it's things from the earth that has been given to us throughout the year. So it's just honoring the sun. You can also do like a Yule altar that has candles and some like sun imagery, sun statues, evergreens, pine cones, anything like that. You can also kind of make it personal with things that represent renewal to you, like pictures or even things cut out of magazines or things like that. But just allow it to represent renewal. And every time you walk by that altar, stop, think about what you're wanting to renew, and go from that. Simply light some candles, watch a sunset or a sunrise, just being mindful in the way that the light comes in with the darkest night. I have friends who love to craft. And I feel like wintertime is when people do crafting the most, like creating wreaths and candles, ornaments, things like that, because I mean, we have time. We sit here, we have some time to just be, and we're not running here, running there as much. And it's warming, and we're taking the energy that we have and we are manifesting and creating something that brings happiness into our lives. Um, because the winter solstice is seen as a time for introspection and spiritual renewal and connection to nature, it's an ideal time for personal growth and setting intentions for your year ahead. I am going to do a podcast on setting intentions for the new year in next week. But some of the things that you may want to think about for now is looking at taking a ritual bath, using herbs like rosemary to cleanse and reset your energy, maybe meditating on the solstice, like we're going to do here in just a few moments, some shadow work, because we're in the darkest part of the year. So exploring and healing personal challenges during the dark part of the year is the perfect time. I feel like that it will release easier and come to a better healing sensation for you. The winter solstice is just a profound reminder of the cycle of nature of life. And by honoring this ancient tradition, we connect with the rhythm of the earth, the wisdom of those who came before us. And whether through feast or rituals, personal reflection, celebrating the solstice can bring light and hope into the darkest time of the year. As I said before, many people have seasonal depression, and celebrating this and turning the darkest time into the year helps us prepare for renewal and growth to come. So it gives us hope, and we come back to the word hope. So, as a teacher, I'm going to give you a couple of books to look into before we start our meditation. But think about looking into reading some things, even if this isn't necessarily what you celebrate, it's still great to know. So, one of the books, The Shortest Day Celebrating the Winter Solstice by Wendy Pfeiffer, is just simple. It's just an illustrated book in simple terms. It helps. It's written for children more, but it's very engaging, and it talks about the solstice traditions. This is a great thing to share with family members. The Wheel of the Year by Rebecca Beadle is a guide to kind of understanding and celebrating the solstices. If you want to get into rituals and meditation and history a little bit more, it's a really good book. Celebrating the Seasons of Life by Jane Meredith. And this goes heavy into the pagan wheel of the year, and it goes specifically into Yule. And then there's another one having to do with the cycles of the moon by Lisa Chamberlain, The Wiccan Year of Magic, and it is more specific to the Sabbats. And then this is a cookbook, Yule Rituals, Recipes, and Lore for Winter Solstice by Suzanne Pesnecker. Please, I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name. It's Pesznecker. Look these up on Amazon and let me know which books that you might have chosen and everything. So if you want to take just a minute to kind of write some things down, find a comfortable position. You can lay down or sit. You can light a candle, turn off the light. We're going to get ready for our guided winter solstice meditation. We're just going to take a moment to settle in and prepare to connect deeply with the energy of the winter solstice. It is so transformative and it's so powerful. This meditation is kind of designed to help you to embrace the darkness, release what no longer serves you, and welcome the returning light. So go ahead and get comfortable. Let's take in a deep breath through our nose and exhale. Let's bring our energy down just a little bit. Breathe in and exhale. You notice your shoulders are relaxing, your hips are relaxing. We're releasing the tension. Now let's begin our journey. Imagine roots growing from the soles of your feet, reaching deep into the earth. These roots anchor you to the ground, connecting you to the supportive energy of the earth. As these roots grow, I want you to feel the stillness of the winter season. The earth is at rest, holding its breath in the darkness. You look around and you notice the beautiful darkness. I want you to visualize yourself standing in a quiet forest on a crisp winter night. There's snow all around, and the world is still. You look up and you notice that the night sky stretches forever, and it's dotted with stars. Looks like a beautiful blanket with just little pinholes of light coming through. The air feels less cold, but comforting, and you think about the beautiful sky being a blanket, just wrapping you, protecting you, making you feel so, so comfortable. Allow yourself to feel the beauty and peace of the darkness. And for just a moment, reflect on the quiet stillness as a time for rest, reflection, and renewal. You still feel the energy of the roots from the earth going through your feet as you're walking. You continue to walk in the forest, and you see a small fire burning in the distance. This fire invites you to come closer. You walk towards it, and you sit beside the flames. As the flames begin to flicker, you feel their warmth, and you feel how inviting they are to you. In your hands, imagine holding a small piece of parchment. On it are words or symbols representing anything you wish to release. Fears, worries, habits, patterns. Take a moment to read this parchment. When you're ready, offer the parchment to the fire. Watch it is consumed by the flames, turning to ash. Feel the weight lift from your body as you release these burdens. And whisper softly, I let it go. I let go all that does not serve me and release it to the fire. You feel your body even becoming even lighter. These burdens are no longer yours. They are gone. And as the fire crackles and warms you, notice a faint glow on the horizon, the first light of the returning sun. This light grows brighter and stronger, illuminating the forest around you. The snow sparkles like diamonds and the trees glisten with frost. In this moment, take just a few moments to think about what you wish to welcome into your life. Hope, clarity, joy, love, or abundance. Take a few moments to do this. Now imagine planting a seed in a snowy ground before you. The seed represents your intentions for the coming year. With each breath, visualize the warmth of the sun nourishing the seed, giving it strength to grow. And simply say, I welcome the light and I will grow with the seed. And as you plant these seeds into the snowy ground, think hard on your intentions for the coming year. 1, 2, 3. I welcome the light and I grow with it. I grow with my intentions. Feel the energy. Feel the warmth of the sun nourishing the seed and nourishing you. Now, as we return to the present, I'd like for you to slowly bring your awareness back to your breath. Feel the rise and fall of your chest, the air entering and leaving your body. I want you to wiggle your toes, feeling grounded and present. Taking a deep breath, and when you're ready to open your eyes, bring with you the sense of peace, renewal, and hope from this meditation. Remember, anytime you can do this yourself, it would be even beautiful to walk outside and do this in this reality. Planting your intentions, maybe possibly using seeds of different flowers if you live in an apartment, like in the little pots, or maybe inside for the wintertime. Now, I have a few optional journal prompts that you can do after we close this podcast. So take just a moment to write these down. What did you release during the meditation? What were the intentions or seeds that you planted for the year ahead? And did you have any feelings or visions that arose during this journey? This meditation can be a beautiful ritual for winter solstice or anytime you want to bring about renewal and connection to the cycle of nature. I want to thank you for listening, and I would love to know in the comments anything that you would like to share. I thank you for being a part of this podcast, And I'm hoping that it will grow to be something to where we are talking on a weekly basis about spiritual things and we interact. You can always email me at bertina@bertina.org. You can always find me on social media, and I'll be glad to connect with you as much as possible. But please share with me how you're going to celebrate the winter solstice or any reflection that you had of this meditation. I hope that you have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and a wonderful holiday season. Goodbye.